All right, welcome back, whoever's watching. We just finished celebrating my previous video, which was my newly annual awards. We celebrated them in our own fashion, just the two of us in our living room. We watched them on the TV, on YouTube, and celebrated, partly because she just loves me and was allowing me to force her to do it, and also partially because she had some skin in the game. I made her and a few friends of mine and my mother fill out a ballot and predict who I was going to pick. And so if she won, she got food for free on me. This, by the way, I should say, is my girlfriend Christine. Lovely, lovely, lovely. She's still dressed to impress from our little award ceremony. I, unfortunately, for whatever reason, got out of my blazer and everything. But this pretty accurately describes our relationship. She usually looks great, and I look like I just rolled out of bed. Today, we are doing a follow-up and a closeout of the entire 2021 movie season, which is really sad for me because that's where I decided to do all this. So it's still new, but somehow it's like, this is like my baby almost, where it's like, this is all the work I put in to start this. So this is the last episode or video I'm going to do on this. And to close it out, we're going to rank all the movies I saw during this season, which is 42 to be exact. She's seen some. She'll comment when she feels she wants to. And for otherwise, she's just kind of sitting there to look good. Okay, so we're going to be doing a bottom tier, middle tier, and then we're going to do an outside looking in, which is like 5 or 6 movies that almost crack my top 10. And then we're going to be doing my top 10 one by one. So as I name off the tiers, bottom tier, middle tier, we're going to just go over a few. I'll have all the movies listed on the screen, likely with their specific number rank, because I did do a specific rank, but we'll just kind of pick 1 or 2 movies that we think we should talk about in each one and say a few words as to why I think it's there and maybe why she agrees or disagrees. So first off, we got the bottom tier, which is numbers 42 through 30. Let me just say, my last place one is the card counter, which went from, before things were really releasing, people saw Oscar Isaac and were like, "Ooh, Oscars," not the play on his name, but like Oscar nominee, so he's gonna be great. And then people just stopped talking about it, and I found it illegally on some site because I didn't even hear that it released. And after watching it, I realized why it kind of went away, because this was probably one of the most useless movies I've seen. It wasn't super boring. It wasn't super terrible. It was just a waste of 2 hours. I think Oscar Isaac could have done more, and they didn't really give him enough to do it. He played such a surface level version of a great character that could have come out of that, and I think the script is the same thing. They stayed in the shallow waters when they could have gone in the deep end, and that was really disappointing. So that's in last place just because that really upset me. You want to pick one from here that you have any kind of opinion about from this tier?
Haven't seen the card counter. Don't want to. It's 42nd.
Good.
Passing. I've seen Old. I feel like that should be number 42.
Old is 39 because it was so bad I laughed, so I actually ended up enjoying it more than the 3 that are behind it, which are Passing, Malignant, and Card Counter, which
yeah, I think Old is like The Room. If you haven't seen that movie.
Right, where it's so bad. It's going to become one of M. Night Shyamalan's cult classics because it's going to be known as
the best worst movie ever made.
He went hard trying to make it bad. Or at least to us it will. I don't think it'll go down like that to most people. Maybe one more thing for this one?
The Last Daughter.
Lost Daughter. The Last Daughter?
The Lost Daughter.
It's on Netflix.
Yes. Yeah, it was okay. Not bad. Not great.
This is a fantastic description.
Yeah, it's really bottom tier.
The last one on my bottom tier is number 30, which is Titan, which I know anybody watching this with any kind of film opinions is going to be like, that's crazy, because it's kind of very artsy and original. Honestly, I don't realize why it ended up here, other than I think it just didn't meet the standards of other ones. It's right behind the top of my middle tier, which you'll see, and I'm sure people have opinions about, but I think Titan, while not bad, I think once we get to Lost Daughter, we're moving in from disappointed to just not great. So that's why I didn't hate it. I didn't dislike it even. I just didn't like it that much. Okay, we're moving into the middle tier now. Topped off by Mitchell's versus the Machines, the only animated movie I saw this year. Extremely disappointing. I wanted to see Flea. It just released on like Hulu or Amazon or something, so I'll eventually watch it. It made me laugh when we watched it. We watched it during the summer. It was funny.
Oh wow,
Nah,
I fell asleep.
that was one of the
I
first
thought
ones
I
I
didn't
saw.
watch it. Burn dead then.
And then we'll go, the one that just barely made this one was Spencer at number 17 for me. I think Kristen Stewart carried that movie, and while I think that's impressive, I think it's hard to love a movie that's carried by one actor unless they really hit the mark on every other aspect, like the score, directing. Joker is one that we personally love because I think Joaquin did everything right. I think the score was incredible, the directing was really good, the script was good. Here, I think the only thing that was really great was Kristen Stewart.
Mm-hmm.
So while I really liked her, the rest of the movie I could have done without.
Mm-hmm.
What's one other one you have any opinion about?
West Side Story. I love Steven Spielberg. For number 24, but I did not enjoy that movie. I think I didn't enjoy the movie because I've never seen the story. I hate the story. I don't know how
It's like
this
Romeo
girl...
and Juliet musical.
Yeah. But a lot of people tell me that, but I feel like Shakespeare hit the mark with that story.
She also doesn't die at the end of West Side Story.
Yeah.
I
And
don't know
also
if they
she
pulled
like
directly
sleeps
from...
with him just after he killed her brother.
Yes. Weird move. That's
Lol.
That's where they really lost me, and I knew that was coming, but that's
But otherwise
seeing it
was
on screen
great. No,
was
otherwise,
great.
yeah.
Great. I think honestly Mike Weiss was very good in that. And,
Yeah, the rest of the movie, great.
yeah.
The story itself, if I liked the story, then obviously the movie would have been a different experience to me.
There's a lot here moving towards the bottom of it that I'd love to talk about, from kind of West Side Story down. Like 9 Days, nobody talks about it. I think it's a really good movie. Worst Person in the World, I know I probably have the lowest opinion of that of anybody I know, and this isn't low. It's just I know a lot of people have it at like the top of their list. Tick Tick Boom, I think Garfield's great. Same as Spencer, but the rest of the movie I could do without. House of Gucci, a fun watch, but for the expectations you go in with, you're left kind of disappointed. French Dispatch made me laugh out loud at the beginning and made me fall asleep at the end. Pig was good, but I honestly forget most of it at this point. And then Spencer I said about. But that is the middle tier. As I said, you can see everything else on the screen. I'll power the dog. I'm not going to justify that with even explaining what that movie's all about. Okay, so we got Outside Looking In. We got, let's see, 2, 4. We got 6 movies that almost cracked, what?
Outside Looking In.
Almost cracked that top 10, but didn't quite make it. At 16, I got Belfast. This one I could have flipped with Spencer. I think there were moments of Belfast that I really liked and nothing that I loved. I think they really held it back. Mass, and you can stop me if you ever have an opinion you want to talk about. Mass was one that I had. The thing is that it was really good, but all I heard before I saw it was, "Oh, Mass is so good. Everybody's sleeping on it. Can't wait." Like all the things they're pointing out. I ended up liking it a lot, but I didn't really love it. And I think it's really just I'm a victim of my own hype, where I went in going, "This is gonna blow me away," and it didn't. And so it was forgotten a bit. 14 is Red Rocket. I'm sure you'll have opinions about this. Thought it was funny, but I wanted more. And I don't really know what more I wanted, but I just kind of...
Yeah, I'm shocked.
There were moments that... I don't know, it's kind of mid-90s for me. Like Jonah Hill's film where it's like, it's so good, but they should have just kept going a bit with certain moments.
I think it's great. 10 out of 10 recommend. I don't know why it's on the Outside Looking In, but that's all. That's all I gotta say.
Okay. 13, Nightmare Alley. This is one that I'm honestly kind of surprised I didn't end up having this. These last 3 I'm surprised are in my top 10. Nightmare Alley, I think, with time, will end up in my top 10 from this last year. But it's the kind of movie, and I said this when we saw it, that I was like, this is the thing that'll grow on me even more with time, because I'll always remember it. But just right now, there are other things that are more fresh in my mind. Yeah?
The next one.
The Tragedy of Macbeth. I love so much about this movie.
So much.
The thing that set it back for me was I put so much stock in the performances, and the performances weren't some of my favorite of the season. Denzel was really good. Francis was really good. Catherine Hunter was the best. But in the top 10, there's at least one thing about all those movies that, for performance-wise, that I'm like, oh man, I could really latch onto. And I mean, the more that I'm saying this, I'm like, really, why isn't The Tragedy of Macbeth in my top 10? I don't know. It's just right outside. At this point, it was a toss-up for what was going to get that 10th spot. 9 and 10, really. Everything from 8 down is pretty specific, but 9 and 10 were really... then Dune is 11. Dune, again, was another one where I was a victim of going into that, falling into the hype of going, this is going to be life-changing, I'm going to love it. It's going to be my, like, Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter, where I'm going to be like, this is the universe I buy into, this is what I want. And while I like it and look forward to part 2...
Very confusing.
Yeah, it was a lot of stuff that I needed to know going in that I didn't, and I went, okay, I don't think I'm going to have what I thought I would have with this until the second movie. Because now going to the second one, I'll have all this information, and I'll be like, this is what I was waiting for. But even so, it's got so much to offer that it's right there.
Yeah.
What are your opinions? Do you think it should have?
No, I want to speak about the top 10.
Okay. All right. They're starting the top 10 now. At 10, we have Annette. When I first saw that, I saw it with her and current roommate, Lexa, and we all walked out going, that was weird. And I remember going, this is very artsy. And that just stuck with me all season, even until now, where I was like, I can't get it out of my head. Like, the music was offbeat, but I kind of liked it. I think Adam Driver was so good. And I think the direction was super interesting. I think the ideas they had behind it were so kind of out there, and I bought it. And I think it's one of those, you either bought it or you didn't. And I bought into it. And even going to the theater to see it was a memorable experience because I had like one sip of a Coke and had hiccups for the entire movie. It was a weird thing. But I thought it made me laugh. It made me kind of want to cry. It made me cringe. It made me like, but I was completely 100% invested at all times. I never got bored. And I was always curious of like, what is about to happen because you never really knew.
I checked out a few times.
All right.
Yeah, I like the movie. I don't think it should be top 10. Because I checked out.
What would be in your 10th spot then?
Red Rocket, Macbeth.
Okay.
And I know exactly what I would switch out, but I don't want to preempt what you're going to say for the top 10, so that's why.
Okay, number 9. Say it when it comes. Number 9 is Swan Song, which even I'm looking at all this, I've literally just listed it down from my notes. I'd probably switch Swan Song, but I'm going to go with my gut and stick with what I had there. I remember really liking Mahershala Ali in that. Yeah. I remember really liking the concept of that whole thing. Yeah. And I remember I was so desperate to like something that got brought to Apple TV that I was like, finally, yes! Because like, Tragedy of Macbeth is also Apple TV, but it went to theaters, whereas Swan Song was straight to streaming. And I just loved that it was different. And I think this year especially, I was really buying into stuff like that, where I was like, when it's something that's just kind of off the wall, but like, I don't know, this reminded me, not in the same vein as Arrival, but it's like that kind of like a different spin on something we've all thought, it's like, we're all going to be cloned one day, you know what I mean? It was like, this kind of brought it right to your front door, and it was like, this is super real. And I enjoyed it. Again, these are movies that I think, if I ever come back to these, I'm going to switch a lot of these out and be like, this one withstood the test of time and everything else, but for now, this is just my fresh reaction, so that I can essentially look back on this later and go, what was I thinking? Is that the one you were going to say you were going to switch out?
No.
Okay, number 8, I got The Green Knight. Love The Green Knight. That's one that with time I think is going to move up this list. That was one that I had so much hype going into it, and it did everything I thought I was going to do. It didn't do more, it didn't do less. It just hit the mark exactly, and it built up a lot of steam because it was ready like 2 years ago, and they just kept postponing it. And I think it did everything it should have done. I love Dev Patel in it. I want to see him do even more. It's a super simple story, which I like. And so it allows you to kind of focus on what's right in front of you instead of having to worry about story so much. Number 7, I got The Hand of God. The direction is what stood out for me. So and good. The lead looks like a friend of mine, which is a friend of ours, actually. Which is uncanny. That was the first thing. Such a good movie. You really need to watch it. Again, I haven't seen Drive My Car, which may lapse this out, but as of right now, Hand of God is the best foreign film I had this year. Not even close. Yeah. Number 6, I got Come On, Come On. This one, I'm not sure if it's going to move up or down with time, but I just really enjoyed it. I mean, I've said this before, it's like a slice of life movie, and I love stuff like that when done well, where it's like, I love the score, I love the screenplay. I think they hit the marks they needed to hit to make a story this kind of simple interesting. Because not much, like you get to the end, you gotta go, well, not much happened, but I was never like, what am I watching? Like I was more invested because I didn't really know where it was going, and I like when certain movies know what they're doing without having a straight narrative of what's happening. Also, Woody Norman and Joaquin, great. Go ahead.
Yes, I have a question. So you're saying so Red Rocket and Come On Come On's both A24 productions, and both of them is slice of life. So why does Red Rocket, that slice of life, not work for this movie, but for Come On Come On works for you?
No, it works for Red Rocket. I just wanted more from Red Rocket. Like for the brand it was putting out, it was going kind of like silly comedy for a lot of it, and I bought that. And then there was always like what they brought to like Uncut Gems and stuff like that. It's like, or the Florida Projects. There was some very serious tone, and there was usually like a moment where it's like, oof, like in Uncut Gems, Sandler has to break down. And in Florida Project, there's like the police and the whole thing with child custodies and all that. I don't know if it's custody, but like the whole thing with the mother and her daughter. And in this one, they never really had that. They led up to it, and
the ending.
Yeah, but did they? Like, it wasn't really serious. It was also in a confusing ending where it's like they played Bye 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 backwards and have him watching the girl come out of the house. And while I'm sure there was a point behind it and there's something very specific there, it didn't hit me. And that's why, like, if this is all just my opinion, maybe a second time would help, but it just didn't hit me in the right spot. I didn't hit my sweet spot, and I know for a lot of other people didn't. And Come On, Come On is the opposite. For a lot of people, it didn't hit that sweet spot, and for me, it really did.
I haven't seen Come On, Come On. I really want to. Okay.
Very, very good.
Next.
Licorice Pizza at number 5. It's Paul Thomas Anderson doing a comedy, which after watching this and seeing Boogie Nights this year for the first time, they're both kind of the same tone. I love Paul Thomas Anderson working this tone. I also saw Punch Drunk Love, which is also that same like weird tone. And I think that's really, as much as I love There Will Be Blood and stuff like that, this is like, I think, his strongest wheelhouse, because he really gets to get creative with the writing, and he doesn't have to stay like true to like everything's got to be a certain tone, or it's just, you know, I keep saying slice of life, but I love his world that he creates with these movies, and Licorice Pizza is no exception. It's just great all around, strong all around. And I love that he's using Alana Haim, who he's friends with her parents, and then he also had Philip Seymour Hoffman. He had his son in it, and I just love that because he worked with Philip Seymour Hoffman in like a bunch of his movies. So I think that was really, really cool. R.I.P. to Philip Seymour Hoffman. What an actor.
Next one.
Number 4 is A Quiet Place 2. What a movie. Not talked about nearly enough. Only one of the few movies where I was like, the sequel was better than the original. I know that's a hard thing to go for, but I really enjoyed it. It stayed on top for a long time this year, and that, kudos, man. One of the best horror films I've seen ever.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't like horror movies whatsoever. I love this movie.
Emily Blunt.
John Krasinski.
All right, number 3. Now, the top 3 for me moved around a lot. My number 3 is King Richard. So good. Have we hit the movie that you said you would switch out yet?
Go on.
Okay. King Richard is number 3. I've only seen it the one time. I think with a second watch, it'll either get a lot better or I'll kind of... The thing is that it's a sports movie, and it's like the usual sports movie, but it did certain things that put it in a different category for me, which I really enjoyed, because like it could have easily fallen into the whole, you know, the way back from last season with Ben Affleck kind of thing, where it's just the usual, oh, he struggled at one point to get ahead and help the kids, but they didn't do that. They stayed super true, and I love that. Love the score. Script isn't bad. Will Smith is incredible. I think the daughters are incredible. I think Anjou Ellis as his wife is incredible. So I just think it was a solid performance all around. John Bernthal as a tennis coach, so good. But that's my number 3. You good? You want to have anything?
Yeah, no, it was a great movie. I loved it a lot. I watched it alone on my laptop, and it still hit the heartstrings.
Yeah. It's another one. Ending is very good and kind of a win through a loss kind of thing, where she loses the match because the girl cheats. What the hell? Truth is truth. I guess that must have happened, but sucks because Serena Williams and Venus Williams went on to be great. So, then we got Don't Look Up at number 2 for me. Hilarious. Oh my goodness. I can't say too much about it because there's so much to be said. All-star cast and each one of them performed. That's all I can say. Adam McKay, I'm a bigger fan now than I already was, and I was already a pretty big fan. And number one, as anybody who saw the last video can say, can see, can tell, it is The Last Duel. She has not seen it.
Yeah.
I will make sure that she does see it. I think Jodie Comer, Adam Driver, and Matt Damon are fantastic. The thing that really makes me love it is the format of it, that they tell it in 3 separate parts because of what's going on. It's so important, and it's just an approach that, it's one of those things where it's like that they hit gold, they struck gold. And I think it should have gotten more attention for that. And I think had this been like the early 2000s or early 2010s even, this would have been a big contender for Best Picture, but we started leaning a different way. These period dramas don't get nearly as much attention as they once did in the Gladiator days.
That's sad.
Yeah. For me, it's like I love stuff like this, The Green Knight.
Maybe it's gonna make a comeback.
We can hope. If
when
not,
I perform in them.
there we go. Yeah, you're right. But hopefully they will make a comeback, and if they don't, they'll always be on this channel. They will always be in my awards.
Aww.
As long as they are well made, they will always be getting attention right here. And if I blow up, they blow up with me. I eat, we all eat. Do you have opinions about number one?
No, that was very nice.
Okay, but what did you say you were going to switch out? You said there was like, I know which one I'm going to switch out.
I don't know, it's a big controversy between Red Rocket and Licorice Pizza, and I don't understand why Licorice Pizza is number 5, even though I love the movie a lot.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
I liked Red Rocket a lot. I didn't love it. Oops, kick the camera. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I really, and I watched Licorice Pizza in a very amazing setting. I just feel like storytelling wise, and not looking at how amazing production and star names is, if you take that away from Licorice Pizza, how well was it really? Where Red Rocket and Licorice Pizza,
That's valid.
yeah, is that if Red Rocket had the same movie budget, what would have, like, to compare it in that,
I agree,
in that way?
It didn't. There's a helicopter coming by. I gotta go with the facts. If we're gonna play that hypothetical game, Red Rocket could be number 1. Mask could be number 1. Come on could be number, like, you know what I mean? Like all those movies that kind of probably definitely had a lower budget. So.
Still love it.
Yeah.
It's
So Last Duel is my number 1.
amazing.
That is all 42 movies I've seen this season. Thank you so much for being here for this video. I'm not sure how the lighting's gonna look at the back half of this because the sun went down, but we're gonna post it regardless. And yes, thank you so much to the 2021 film season for giving me the inspiration to start this. Thank you for anybody who watches these, whether it be consistently or just because you stumbled on it. And more to come this season. We will both be seeing the, what is it? Not the preview. The, what do you call it?
Pre-screening.
Pre-screening, but it's also kind of like the coming out. What do you call that when a movie comes out? Debut, kind of. The opening of Batman with Robert Pattinson. We'll be getting to see that early. I will be cutting out a review, probably with her by my side. That night, we will be putting it out. There will be no edits. I will record, and I will let you guys know what I think.
2nd of March.
2nd of March. Be ready for it. There will be stuff to come before that, probably about TV.
Wow, the sunset looks beautiful.
And that wraps us up. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you for the next video. Peace!